Hello, everyone. We'll get started in just a moment, allowing everyone to join into the webinar. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning for those of you on the West Coast. My name is Lori Jennings. I'm with the 8A Stars 3 team. And joining me today from the GSA team are Belinda DeVore, Tony Russell, and Jean Fluvog. Today's session is to introduce the SBA team to provide us an overview of SBA's roles with regards to the 8A Stars 3 GWAC. I know they're going to give us a lot of really good information, and we appreciate their partnership and efforts on this contract. Just a few notes, everyone who is a participant is on listen-only mode, but we do have a Q&A pod. If you have questions that relate to the SBA topic at hand, please feel free to go ahead and send those in via the Q&A. We do have a chat feature, but because that is a lengthy rolling document, we would prefer questions to come in on the Q&A pod. To answer the first question that I am sure we will get, we will send out a copy of the slides following the session and a recording. So anyone that was in your organization unable to attend today will be able to view that recording at a later time. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Kia Perrin from SBA, who is going to introduce herself and Candace and begin the presentation. Kia?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Let's see, I was going to get on video, but it seems that I cannot. So I will just say hello to everyone. My name is Kia Perrin. I am the Deputy Director for the Technical Assistance Branch. I oversee 8A contracting as well as our 7J Management and Technical Assistance Program. I am super excited to be here with you all today and looking forward to connecting. We are excited that you have received the STARS 3 contract vehicle. We know that a lot of work went into that. And so congratulations to you. We are excited and ready to go. Candace?
Good afternoon, everyone. I am going to show my face. Oh, well, it can't start. That's why the host has not enabled video, which is fine. We were just going to pop on to let you guys know we were real people. But Kia and I are here. My name is Candace Miles. I'm a business management specialist, senior business management specialist within our management and technical assistance division. And what we're looking forward to doing today is just sharing some additional information with you about SBA, GSA STARS 3, and how we're working together with our awardees to ensure good program performance throughout the life of the vehicle. What I'll do now is go ahead and share my screen and we'll be able to get started. Okay, so what we'll do, I will provide most of the information during the presentation. Kia will also add any additional information, and Kia will answer the questions as we're going through the pod. So let's go ahead and get started. Of course, when we want to give our SBA overview, it's important for everyone to know that the services that the SBA provides are based on counseling, contracting, and access to capital. As you all know, the U.S. federal government is the largest purchaser of goods and services in the world. And we've been purchasing in some form or fashion since the country was being formed in 1776. I just like to share that information because literally buying and receiving support from small businesses is built into the fabric of our country. As far as counseling is concerned, we want to ensure that our 8A participants or that our STARS awardees always know that you're able to receive counseling. Not only are you assigned a business opportunity specialist, but we also have SBA resource partners who can provide free, confidential, face-to-face or virtual counseling and low-cost training. They can help you in areas related to business plans, financing, marketing, proposal writing, bonding, and more. Basically, our SBA resource partners are able to help you when it's time to open your doors or when it's time to develop your idea to open your doors, and also through the time when you're ready to close or sell your business. These resources include our small business development centers, our service corps of retired executives, SCORE. It includes our Veterans Business Outreach Centers, our Women's Business Centers, and we have PTACs, which are our Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, which is also a Department of Defense resource. As far as contracting is concerned, I've mentioned that we're the largest buyer of goods and services. And what SBA does, we really want to work to ensure that small businesses get their fair share. Our district offices make sure that they provide classes, workshops, and counseling. And as you all know about our 8A Business Development Program, other certifications that we have are for our Hub Zone, which is our historically underutilized business zone, our women-owned small business and economically disadvantaged women-owned small business. We also have, service disabled veteran-owned small businesses and small disadvantaged businesses. When it comes to capital, that's something that's very vital or important for you operating your business. It's important to note that the SBA is a guarantor of loans, which means that we are supporting our financial institutions who are SBA lenders. We do not offer grants that help you start or grow your small business, and our financing programs include microloans, which would be loans up to $50,000, term loans, venture capital, and surety bonds. And so, as you all know, everyone who is a part of our 8A Business Development Program, compliance is a very key part of being eligible and making the most of your 9 or 10-year term. The things that you want to ensure that you've done, of course, I'm sure everyone on the call has submitted their participation agreement. You have your business plan that you're updating on an annual basis that allows your business opportunity specialist along with yourself to know exactly where you're going and the additional areas that you are in need of assistance in, as well as where it is that you're thriving. Of course, we're looking for your financial statements on an annual basis. We do an annual update. We care about the program structure as far as understanding how to utilize or leverage the resources of the 8A program to help you improve and grow your business. Our 8A review process, where we're paying attention to what's going on during your 9-year term. We pay attention to your business activity targets. We know that there are 2 parts of our program. We have our developmental phase and our transitional phase. As you go into years 5 through 9 of the program, we want to ensure that you're not too dependent upon sole source contracting opportunities. And of course, the key to your participation in our 8A Business Development Program is our business opportunity or your business opportunity specialist. Every person on the call has been assigned a business opportunity specialist located in the district office. Your business opportunity specialist is your advocate as far as being your contact for the 8A program and helping you to stay into compliance. They're your advisor with helping you through the program process. And they also can act as your compliance officer as far as reviewing your annual review, yearly requests, if you're doing any type of strategic partnering with a mentor-protege agreement or a joint venture or a change of ownership. It's important to note that your BOS is a resource that helps you grow throughout the program, but they are not your personal marketing manager, your federal contracting assistants, your contracts manager, your legal counsel, your accountant, or your business development vice president. What's very important to note is that through the 8A Business Development Program and through Master Award or GWAC contracts similar to GSA STARS, these are just resources that help you get your foot in the door or have another tool to use as you're marketing your business. And you'll have to continue to work on your business development, capture management strategies, et cetera. And your business opportunity specialist is here to support you. What's really important with all things that we do is making sure that we know and understand the rules. When it comes down to federal acquisition regulations or the FAR, you can always read more about the regulations and policies specifically for small business programs under Part 19. When it comes to the 8A Business Development Program, you're taking a look in Chapter 13, which is in the Code of Federal Regulations. I'm sorry about that. And under 13 CFR 124, that's where you'll find all of the information for our 8A Business Development Program. You'll want to pay attention to the limitations on subcontracting, which is in 13 CFR 125.6. And it's also important to be mindful of our rules on affiliation, which can be found in 13 CFR 121. And so 8A Stars overview. Congratulations again on being awarded being awarded GSA Stars 3. What we know about this government-wide acquisition contract is that it is has an ordering period with a 5-year base and 1 3-year option. The ordering period began last July 2021. The ceiling is $50 billion, and this vehicle allows for fixed price, time and materials, labor hour, or hybrid blend of these task order types. And so what you'll be able to do by being on GSA 8A Stars 3, now you're able to compete for task orders that are either competitive or you're able to market your services to the different federal agencies for a sole source or direct award. What's very important to know is what are the thresholds for individually owned firms. For our 8A sole source requirements, that will be a requirement that's a direct award that you don't have to compete against anyone for. The threshold for services is $4.5 million and below. And for manufacturing, the total is $7 million. And for competitive requirements, those are in excess of 4.5 for services and $7 million for manufacturing. When we're talking about our entity-owned firms, those entity-owned firms, which are Native Hawaiian organizations, Indian tribal organizations, and Alaskan Native corporations, there are different justification and approval thresholds that they have. For Native Hawaiian organizations, for all of these entities with the Department of Defense, the threshold where you have to provide a justification and approval is $100 million. For the civilian agencies, for ANCs and tribes, the threshold of justification and approval has to be submitted at $25 million or more. And for our Native Hawaiian organizations with the civilian agencies, there is no justification and approval threshold. Something that's very important that we spend a lot of time talking about is what happens during the offer and acceptance process. What exactly does this mean? And what the SBA is doing, if you all read through your participation agreements with the 8A Business Development Program, the SBA serves as the prime on all of the contracts, and all of our 8A participants are actually the subprime. This is just important because it allows the SBA to intervene and work on your behalf when things are going well, when we're having peaks, or even when we're having pitfalls. And so the offer letter is formal notification of the federal agency to the SBA that there's a requirement that they would like to put in the program. For GSA Stars 3, the requirement has already been accepted by the Small Business Administration. This means that for competitive awards, you all are able to go after those and will compete for the task orders, and GSA does not have to receive individual offer and acceptance. Offer and acceptance comes into play under GSA Stars 3 when we are talking about sole source or direct awards. And so again, an offer letter lets the SBA know that they intend to award a requirement by submitting an offer to SBA. Offer letters are not contracts or contracting opportunities. The offer letters have to be submitted by the federal agencies to the SBA. And the information that has to be included, it's about 18 different factors. And I know that Key is going to share that information or the link to the CFR in the chat. These 18 different factors are what we're paying attention to when we're looking at accepting a requirement, or when we're looking at what's being offered. And after we receive an offer letter, we're reviewing the information that the agency has provided for us about the requirement. We're also, for a sole source, we'll get into that in the next slide about what we're doing as far as compliance for our 8A participants. And after we review the offer letters, we provide an acceptance to let the federal agencies know that we are accepting the requirement into our program. And so response time. For a simplified acquisition purchase, the SBA has 2 working days. This will be a purchase that's less than $250,000. In this instant, the agency and the GSA Stars 3 awardee can negotiate pricing before eligibility confirmation. And we don't have to receive a formal offer letter, but the agencies do have to confirm that the GSA Stars 3 awardee is eligible. For our sole source procurement, which is between $250,000 to $4.5 million for services or $7 million for manufacturing, the SBA has 5 working days to respond back to the federal agencies. For all of these sole source awards, the offer letter has to be submitted to your servicing district office. And some of the things that we're paying attention to, in addition to taking a look at your compliance, which we'll also talk about a little bit more, we're making sure that the requirement is a good fit for the 8A program. And while we are committed to our individual GSA Stars 3 awardees or 8A participant success, we also care about the success of the overall 8A program. And so we're taking a look to ensure that the requirement should be a sole source and not a competitive based on the thresholds and the period of performance. We're ensuring that the requirement hasn't been performed by another small business set-aside category and will not have an impact or adverse impact if it comes into the 8A program. We're also making sure that the requirement, once it comes into the 8A program, that there's a high probability that it will stay in the 8A program. This is just important because part of our goal through the 8A program is to make sure that we're providing numerous development opportunities for all of our firms. And so we just wanted to share a little bit more information about what goes on during offer and acceptance so that everyone can have a full understanding. Something that's very important to note about offer and acceptance is that these timelines above do not apply to joint ventures. And let's talk a little bit more about that. And so there are, as we all know, in November of 2020, the SBA changed our regulations for joint ventures. And prior to November of 2020, all of the joint ventures had to be approved by SBA for our 8A participants. That's no longer the case. So I'm sure there's some people listening in on the call who have an SBA approved joint venture, and there are some joint ventures that have not been SBA approved. When your joint venture has done marketing to the agency or agency has decided that they are interested in doing business with you, what you'll have to do for a task order is update your addendum if you are an approved joint venture. The receipt of the offer letter is what starts our process for our district offices, which means that the agency has to send the offer letter over to the district office. The district office reviews the offer letter and will contact the 8A or the managing member of the joint venture to ensure or request additional paperwork. The paperwork will include a cover letter that includes information about the contracting agency, the contact person. It'll include a solicitation or a requirement number. It'll have an overview of the purpose of the requirement. It'll share information about both the 8A and the non-8A firm, and it'll also include the last 3 years of average annual receipts. For every addendum on the task order, we need to know who the project manager is, with the equipment being used, the staffing plan, and the purpose or reason that the joint venture is pursuing this opportunity. The checklist for approved joint ventures you would submit once you receive the call from the business opportunity specialist or the district office. The checklist would include the cover letter that we just discussed. You would want to provide a copy of the approved joint venture agreement because your joint venture has already been approved by an SBA district office. You'll include the addendum to the JV, including the information that I shared on the previous slide. You'll include information, your entity paperwork, as far as if you're a LLC or a corporation. You'll include the capability statements for both the non-8A and the 8A. You'll include a copy of the dynamic small business search and SAM of your JV entity to show that it's been registered. If applicable, you would include a copy of your mentor protege approved letter. And you'll also include the financial statements and taxes for the last 3 fiscal years. I understand if there's a question about, well, my joint venture has already been approved. Why am I going to include this information again? And the reason is just that due to the volume or the number of 8A participants that we service and work with, sometimes it's just easier for us to have everything in one place. And so if you're able to resubmit or submit this paperwork, it helps the process to be smoother for the business opportunity specialist and district attorney who will be reviewing the addendum, just to make sure that you're in compliance. And again, the reason that the addendums are so important, or joint venture agreements are important in general, are because we want to ensure that our 8A participants are truly benefiting from the relationship and gaining experience that'll help them grow as federal government contractors. Now, for our non-approved joint ventures, what we've done by being awarded GSA Stars 3, this means that the SBA has determined that your joint venture was eligible, meaning that you were considered in compliance for the 8A program and you were deemed small based on the financials and the taxes that were submitted for the 8A participant and the non-8A participant. Although you have been deemed eligible for GSA Stars 3, that is not the exact same thing as the SBA approving your joint venture. So now, if you're not approved and we receive an offer letter from a federal agency, it'll be necessary for the SBA to approve your joint venture. The documentation that's required will be the cover letter. We covered that 2 slides, so that will be the same information. This time you would include your JV agreement. That's going to include information about your work share, the resumes, and it has to state that the 8A participant is the managing member. You'll also include your operating agreement. There'll be some forms, Form 355, your application for small business determination, and Form 1623, the certification regarding debarment suspension, or other responsibility matters. And so you'll want to ensure that you're sharing or providing all of this information to the district office after you've been contacted, because the district office has received the offer letter from the agency letting them know that they're considering making an award to you. The time for approving a joint venture can vary from office to office. And it's important that you all let your agency that you're marketing your services to, or agency who has reached out to you directly, about a potential opportunity, it's important, to share that you are a joint venture, and the regular timeline for approving offer letters does not apply. This is also something that the business opportunity specialist or district office is letting our federal agencies know. And so the checklist for the non-approved joint ventures would be your request of approval for your JV addendum or your cover letter. You'll have your joint venture agreement. You'll have your operating agreement, the entity information, the capability statements. You'll have your copy of your dynamic small business search and your SAM of your JV entity. You'll include a copy of your mentor protege approved letter if that's applicable, and the forms that we mentioned for SBA forms 355 and 1623. And so when we think about what the SBA's role and responsibility is when we're reviewing the offer letters, I know I've gone over this a little bit. We're looking at the evaluating the procurement opportunity, and we're also reviewing the eligibility and the capacity of the 8A firm. We want to confirm that you're in compliance and current with our 8A program. We want to confirm that you're still considered small under the requested NAICS code. If you're in the transitional stage, again, years 5 through 9 of the program, we're confirming the sole source restriction. And it's very important to note that no firm is eligible for sole source contract after you graduate from our 8A business development program. You will be able to continue to compete for task orders, but you will not be eligible for sole source awards. And so when we talk about this offer and acceptance process, it's important that we share the information about how everything works. But something that is as important or more important is making sure that all of the GSA STARS 3 awardees and our 8A participants understand exactly what it means to market to your federal agency. And we want to make sure that when you're doing your market research in determining which agencies you would like to work with, you always have to take into account who buys what you're selling, or what problem are you solving? How are you working to help the agency to meet their mission? What you want to do is work with the SBA offices, the Office of Small Business and Disadvantaged Utilization, and program managers by providing your capability statements or white papers that demonstrate how your solutions help the agencies to meet their mission. You want to go a step further when possible and also request the capability briefings. What you'll be able to do during that time, you want to be prepared. You want to have a specific requirement that you are interested in pursuing, or you want to be able to share or show the need that you've identified by reviewing procurement forecasts, expiring contracts, or a RFI, request for information, or a sources sought. And this is just important because it's the difference between I sell black pens versus this black pen will give you the best writing experience ever. You want to put yourself in a position where as you're selling to the different agencies in the federal government, you're sharing why and how your services can help to make them better. Once you request a briefing, if you are able to receive one, whether in person or virtual, it's important to remember that the briefing isn't an interview, but it's an overview of the company's ability. And if you're meeting, if an agency contacts you to talk about a specific requirement, it's important that you ask that agency to provide you with a draft performance work statement and questions at least 2 days prior to the meeting so that you're able to be prepared. You don't learn during the briefing whether or not the firm can be used. Like there won't be a clear yes at the end of your meeting. You can be provided with next steps. And during these briefings, no contracting officer should be present. It should only be the program management or the SBA office. And it's also very important to know or discuss past performance and how you can use those as references. Something that I like to share a lot when I talk about procurement is that if you haven't done it, you don't do it. So you want to ensure that you can show a strong past performance history that indicates or helps to demonstrate how you'll be able to successfully perform on a new requirement. And now we can just talk a little bit about some best practices for government contracts. Some things that you'll want to do as your company is conduct your own internal SWOT analysis, where you're taking a look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. This is just important because as we're going through the world of government contracting, you want to ensure that you have the capital, the money to do so. You want to ensure that you have the capacity, the people, and the wherewithal. And you also want to make sure that you have the capabilities to successfully not only bid and win, but to perform. With your finances, you want to take into your account your cash flow. Do you have a line of credit or access to cash? We have to think about the upfront costs as far as proposal writing and costs to ramp up and get started on a contract. You also want to make sure or determine, is your accounting system in compliance? That's information that will be shared in the RFP if the agency has specific rules regarding the accounting system that they utilize. And you also want to be really clear about what it takes to submit a proper invoice, right? Generally, we know that you're working on a 30-day net. So you want to ensure that your finances can handle onboarding into a new contract proposal. As far as performance is concerned, you always want to make sure that you read the entire request for proposal. You always want to pay attention to, I believe it's Schedule K, where it talks about what you actually have to do. And you also want to pay attention to what the past performance history or past performance requirements are. You want to understand your statement of work, the performance work statement, or the statement of objectives, which basically shifts the risk between the GSA STARS 3 awardee and the federal government. Who holds the risk? And with the performance work statement, are they telling you exactly what they want you to do? Or with the statement of work, are they asking you to propose a solution? Or with the statement of objectives, do we just have an idea? You also want to make sure that you pay a lot of attention to your in-scope work versus your out-of-scope work. Some things that would naturally happen in the private sector, as in you see that you need to have an additional piece or need to do an additional part to complete a project. You want to make sure that that modification is okay with the program manager and contracting officer as you're moving forward. It's also very important to understand that different buyers have different standards. And you want to ensure that the agency that you're working with, that you both are on the same page as far as how you'll be checking in and working with one another and making sure you're working towards the same objectives to successfully perform. You want to make sure you're scheduling check-ins with the program managers and the contracting officers. And you also want to make sure that you're continuing to interact with your business opportunity specialists. With your BOS, in addition to your annual review, as you're being awarded and performing different contracts, you're also able to share your peaks and your pitfalls with them. And your business opportunity specialist can help you to navigate they can help you as you navigate different situations throughout the contract performance, and of course, throughout your time in the 8A program. And so now, right, if we had to ask another question, just where do I start? I understand what we're talking about when we say marketing, but tell me more. How do I get started? You want to identify your niche in the federal market. Again, what do you sell and who buys what it is that you're selling? You can also research the Dynamics small business search system so that you're able to review and compare your profile to other 8A participants. In general, we say that your capability statement or your profile isn't specific enough if we can swap out the name of your company with the name of another company that offers similar services to you. Something else that you can do, you want to identify one or two agencies that are most likely to need your project. I would say of your product or your service, maximum of up to 5. because working with each agency is not always the exact same type of experience. And you want to make sure that you understand how the agency works. Do they use the GSA stars or the GSA schedule, or are they utilizing GSA stars 3 as the way that they purchase, or do they purchase another type of way? You always want to make sure that you're doing your market research and you're taking a look at procurement histories. You're using the resources that I mentioned earlier through your business opportunity specialists and other SBA resources, including our PTACs, as well as taking a look at the Federal Procurement Data System, which is FPTS. And you can also even take a look at usaspending.gov to have a better idea of where the federal agencies are spending money and who they're spending money with. And we also recommend that you spend time utilizing or understanding how the GSA STARS 3 dashboard works. Some other things that you can do, you can monitor the agency forecast. You can contact the OSDBU to ask or request for this information, or search on the agency sites. Something that we often share is that every agency website is not set up the same way. And so we do recommend that you review the website and that you have familiarity with them as you're looking for the forecast or different procurement opportunities. You also want to make sure that you're networking, right? Good people know good people. You also want to know other GSA STARS awardees or other 8A participants. You want to also attend matchmaking events, and that can help you connect with the agency buying officers, prime contractors, and other businesses. And again, identifying the bid opportunities. In this case, we're talking specifically about GSA STARS 3, so you want to review that dashboard. And we also encourage you all, in addition to the SBA resources and the business opportunity specialists, we do recommend that you participate in our 7J management trainings. Things that are important to remember is that graduated 8A firms are not eligible for direct or sole source awards. You always want to ensure that you're paying attention and that you're in compliance with the 8A program. You also want to make sure that you understand how the 8A program works. Something that's really important, or I think that we forget sometimes, is that as the 8A participants, you're also an ambassador for our program. You're evidence and proof that our program works. And sometimes you have to help our buying agencies or buying officials understand the program and how to utilize it. In a lot of cases, that can be simply connecting the buyer with the district office who services you as an 8A participant. And for my joint ventures, because the review process for joint ventures does not occur until we have an offer letter, you definitely want to make sure that you continue to have all of your paperwork readily available. And just going over some key relationships, I've mentioned the business opportunity specialist many, many times. And that person, of course, can be your advocate, your advisor, and your compliance officer. You want to know your commercial marketing representative, which can help you with subcontracting. Our procurement center representatives, or PCRs, help the agencies in making decisions about small business set-asides or utilizing other set-aside categories. You can, again, contact the PTACs, our procurement technical assistance centers, for counseling and training services. And then your OSDBU, or small business specialist. That person or those people in that office can help you to advocate within your target agency. And with that, that brings our presentation to a close. I know that we have a couple of more moments. Kia, if you want to share any of the questions that we've been getting in the chat. And of course, thank you to everyone who's on the call, and thank you to GSA for having us so we can just talk more about the SBA's role and how excited we are about GSA STARS 3.
Hey, Candace, there was a question asking, can you please repeat the JV congressional change again?
Oh, in November of 2020, as of November of 2020, the SBA no longer approves joint ventures competitive joint ventures. We only approve joint ventures for sole source or direct awards, and that only happens when we receive an offer letter from a federal agency. Additionally, a rule that changed with the joint ventures, there was a 3-and-2 rule. Your joint venture was valid for 2 years, and the maximum amount of contracts that you could receive in the 2-year period was 3. With our new rule, you still have 2 years, but there is no limit on the amount of contracts that a joint venture can receive. And the clock for 2 years does not begin until the joint venture is awarded their first contract. What other questions do we have?
I have answered most of the questions. I see one that is specific to someone, so I'll answer that one directly. So nothing else. Are there any other questions out there? Feel free to put them in the Q&A. We are here to offer any information that we can to answer all questions.
Hey, Kia, this is Gene. Did you want to talk to that, the competitive threshold for sole source orders if something occurs during the negotiations?
The competitive threshold?
Yeah, the question was whether or not a sole source order that's if during negotiation the anticipated price goes over 4.5.
Yes, and so to all those, I'm not sure if you're able to see the Q&A for some of you, but the question was, as Jean just said, can we go over the 4.5 sole source threshold during negotiations by up to 10%? And yes, there is a clause in the CFR that allows for that. If the agency submits an offer letter and during negotiations it goes above the threshold, as long as it's not above 10%, that's fine. So hopefully that answered that. I'm also, I saw a few questions and I responded to those asking about the threshold for sole source. Was it just by the year or was it for the entire contract? The thresholds that Candace shared are for the entire contract value. So that means the base and any priced option years.
But just to be clear, that's the specific task order that's being pursued as opposed to the entire GWAC.
Correct. All right, let's see here.
I know that you guys have to type the questions in the chat. There's no, I believe that we're not unmuting. So Anu, if you have a question, if you could type it in the chat, we'll be able to address it for you.
Candace, we have, can the SBA BOS share with the participant who has submitted an offer letter? If not, why?
Can you repeat that? Wait.
I think what they're asking is, can the SBA BOS share the offer letter with their firm?
I don't think so. I'm not sure what you would necessarily need from the offer letter. What we're trying to avoid from a very technical perspective, although you've marketed your services to the firm, the 8A participant, or in this case, our GSA STARS 3 awardees, are not supposed to be a part of the offer and acceptance process. So I'm not sure of a specific reason why you would need a copy of the offer letter. I know that Kia shared the information from 13 CFR 502 about the elements of an offer letter. But if the contracting officer or program manager has any questions, you can share the contact information of your business opportunity specialist and servicing district office with them, and the SBA will be able to help them through the process. But the main points that you would be worried about in the offer letter, which would be the value of your contract, their task order, the period of performance, and the solicitation or the PWS, that's information that the agency would already share or would share with you once the offer letter has been accepted.
All right. Please confirm no direct awards to STARS contract holders if they have graduated their 8A status. That is correct.
Right.
Let's see here. I see a comment, 2 agencies took our 8A contracts and awarded them to large businesses. We reached out to the BOS, but never heard from them. There was nothing we could do. So if this happens to any of the firms out there, so there's a number of steps that you can take. One, you can obviously contact your BOS. You can also reach out to the agency's small business office. They're advocates as well for our small businesses. You can also reach out to the PCR, the SBA PCR that services that agency.
Mhm.
And lastly, you could always reach out to SBA headquarters. That is what my branch does. We handle 8A contracting issues. So there's always resources. We are always interested in any work that is being moved out of the program without a formal release.
But we do have, I think it's important to note why I agree with that, a release could have been requested or an agency could have determined and received concurrence from the SBA that a requirement changed so much that it was determined to be new and no longer in the 8A program. So it is good to contact all of the people that Kia has mentioned, but also ask the agency if they can share with you what has happened, and they may be able to provide you with additional information as well.
Yes. I see someone said our SAM registration for our 8A JV awarded GSA STARS still states that our exit date is June 26, 2022. However, our award of the contract indicates that our clock starting ticking time, I guess, is incorrect. So they're saying, how do we get that date changed in SAM? They've emailed starting the process, or they've received an email stating that the process has been completed by SBA, has changed, but it still is not showing that change. Follow up with that email, and also with your BOS. The BOS could reach out to the JV team and have that change done.
Yeah.
Candace, did you have anything with that?
No, I agree with that. Taking the same steps and if necessary, sharing a screenshot. We do know that we've been having some issues with DSBS and SAM showing the right dates. And it's something that we're working to make sure is correct for each of our firms.
Let's see. I see someone says, but you can't exercise option years on a directed award after you graduate 8A, correct? Yes, that's correct. The base and any option years can be, any priced option years can be awarded even after you have graduated. Okay. We have a contract specialist who requested pricing before an offer letter. We did not know and provided pricing. Why would they request pricing before an offer letter? Who should we tell? Who should we tell the contract specialist?
So, oh, go ahead, Kia, were you gonna address that?
Go for it.
It's just one of those things. We know that it can kind of be a delicate walk or like a slippery slope, but I will also kind of ask if you were approaching them or if they approached you to formulate or to send the offer letter. Technically, they should be able to do a IGCE, an internal government cost estimate. And the only time where they will be able to ask you for a price is if it was under that $250,000 threshold discussed early on in the presentation. And I think, again, reaching out to your business opportunity specialist and explaining what's going on, or asking the agency if they would like to contact the SBA and explain why you're not comfortable doing that, because you've learned that you're not supposed to discuss, pricing until you have a formal offer letter. But that's something that your BOS can help you with, navigating that conversation as well. Kia, what do you think about that?
That's right.
Yeah, and this is Gene, if I could chime in on that as well. The STARS 3 pricing tool is available on the 8A STARS 3 webpage, and that does include the contract ceiling rates for all of the STARS 3 awardees. So that's another, if the agency is simply trying to get some more in producing an IGCE, that's a great source for them to go, and they could actually look at a specific offer's ceiling rates on the pricing tool as well.
Perfect.
All right, I see a question here. Does sole source accept teaming too?
Gene,
So-
do you guys, I was gonna say, do you guys want to handle that? Because
Sure,
technically.
sure.
Go
Let
ahead.
me talk to teaming.
Mhm.
There is a GSA schedule concept called a contractor teaming agreement, where two schedule holders can submit an offer together, and the award is made, and both entities have privity of contract with the GSA. That is a schedule specific concept. GSA STARS 3 is a GWAC, not a schedule. So it's governed by Part 16 of the FAR, not Part 8. And CTAs do not apply to STARS 3. Now, you can team with other firms through a subcontracting relationship if you want to. And that firm, whether they're 8A or small or even other than small, provided that you comply with the limitations on subcontracting clause in your contract, which requires the prime to perform 50% of the work, and then you're in a good place to, as far as teaming is concerned, on STARS 3. Now, something that's sometimes not understood on joint ventures is if the STARS 3 contract is held by the joint venture receives the award, and you don't subcontract between the managing and the non-managing members. The joint venture itself receives the award. And so how you split the work within the joint venture, that would be governed by your joint venture agreement, and whatever SBA reporting and requirements are applicable to that.
Mhm.
Thank you, Jean. It's helpful. Candace, we have a question. If the 8A STARS 3 awardees are not a JV, are you stating that a new JV can then become an awardee on a competitive or sole source award after the fact?
No, I think that you guys have to tell me if this is, we've already made our awardees for GSA. You all are the awardees for GSA STARS 3. There is not a way to form a new entity and be part of this GWAC.
Thank you. Let's see
That
here.
is correct. Thank you.
It's been a while since we met with our SBA BOS. How can we re-engage post-COVID?
I think that just reaching, well, you guys should always be connecting through your annual reviews. And then if you're ready to, whether you have questions or whether you're interested in a business development session, I encourage you to reach out to them via email or give them a call. In this post-COVID, or it's not post-COVID, in this pandemic world, we all have access to our virtual resources, and more likely than not, they should be able to get back in touch with you. I do openly say that our BOSs have a large workload. So if they're not able to get back with you immediately, they should be able to get back to you within 3 to 5 days and work to get you scheduled, so that they can address the concerns or answer any questions that you have.
Yes. I see a question here. And if an effort was previously awarded to an 8A company, can it then be awarded as an 8A sole source later? Sure, I'm not sure what exactly you mean. Give me some more information. Are you saying, when you're saying if it was previously awarded to an 8A company, was it a sole source? Was it competitive? Are you an individually owned or entity owned firm? I need a little more information so that I can answer that question correctly. Let's see here. So I have someone, email, if they can reach out. I believe the email is 8aquestions@sba.gov. Candace, is that right? Yeah.
That is right. Yes.
So if you have further questions, 8aquestions@sba.gov.
Yes.
Let's see, we are winding down. So I see a question here. Is this correct? Step 1, 8A firm identifies the opportunity. Step 2, firm markets their firm. Step 3, if qualified, the agency sends an offer letter. And step 4, SBA approves the offer letter. And what does requesting a requirements letter mean? Well, we'll start with that. Candace, can you give some more detail on requesting a requirements letter?
I was going to say, when we say requesting a requirements letter, are we talking about from the agency or from what perspective? I'm sorry.
I think they're talking about from the perspective of a BOS reaching out to an agency and saying, we'd like to recommend this firm for this particular requirement.
Yes. And so what you can do, if you identify or you see a requirement that has not been set aside for the 8A program, you can get the information for that requirement, share it with your business opportunity specialist, and your BOS will send the agency a requirements letter that states that this requirement could potentially be a good fit for the 8A program. And we have an 8A participant who is interested. Could you please review their capabilities or capacity and determine if this requirement can be put into the 8A program?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I see a question here too. We heard the offer letter acceptance and approval takes about 5 weeks. Is that right, or has that changed?
That would be, I'm not sure where we're getting 5 weeks from. If it is not a joint venture, for things that are below the threshold of $250,000, there should be a turnaround time of 2 working days. And for competitives or sole source, it's 5 working days. The way that the timeline can vary is if it is a joint venture, and we shared a lot of information about that just because you'll have to share some documentation with the business opportunity specialist or district office. If it's taking 5 weeks, something else is going on, and more likely than not, the agency would have reached out to the SBA to find out if there's a problem and how to address it so that they can receive their acceptance letter within a shorter time frame.
Okay. Oh, and Cheryl gave us a little more information. If an effort was originally an 8A competitive effort, can the follow-on contract then be an 8A direct award?
I think that we would be looking at the dollar value and the scope of work. We would kind of want to understand what's made it change, because that seems like in a lot of cases it would be de-scoped. And in certain cases that can make sense because it could be a project or a service that's ramping down versus ramping up. But we would look at the particulars to understand and certainly ask the questions about the differences in dollar value with the requirement going from a competitive to a sole source. And one of the elements of the offer letter that the agencies submit to us is the procurement history, sharing the last 24 months of who's been working on the contract and what the dollar values and awardees, or who the awardees and what the dollar values are. So we would look at that on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you.
But I guess it's also important to know it can't go from a competitive to a sole source for an entity-owned organization. You can't, that's not supposed to happen.
Hey, Kia, can we talk there's a question about once a JV's is approved and DSBS shows them as being 8A. There's a question saying that they're having trouble getting that reflected in SAM. What I would encourage the joint ventures that this would apply to is make sure you've logged into your DSBS or your SAM account. And typically when DSBS reflects an update in your JV to an 8A status, you have to process an update to your SAM record in order to get that reflected in SAM. And then once that's reflected in SAM, that will automatically also be reflected in the GSA's e-library, because I will have to do a re-representation modification, and that will then populate to FPDS as well and reflect the joint venture as 8A.
Thank you.
And I know we've reached our hour time limit, but I did want to again note that email address if for some reason we were unable to address your question during the session, and we did receive a lot of them in, so my apologies. But the email address, I believe you said, was 8aquestions@sba.gov.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, I know we will stay on for a couple more minutes, try to address some questions in the pod there. And if not, definitely reach out to that email address. I will be sending a follow-up to all of the group email addresses for STARS 3 with a copy of the presentation, a link to the recording, and I'll also include that email address as well. So with that, Kia and Candace, I absolutely thank you for joining us today. I think it was very informational. I'm seeing a lot of feedback from attendees that this was a great opportunity and a lot of really great information that they received today.
That's perfect. We always appreciate our partnership and relationship with GSA STARS 3, and we want to wish all of our awardees continued success. And please continue to use us as a relationship. We appreciate everyone's utilization of the 8A Business Development Program. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all for attending. I'm sure we will be having additional sessions in the future and try to incorporate our friends and partners over at SBA as well.
All righty. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.